Hello, welcome to today's LinkedIn Live. I'm Jeanette Song. I'm a professor in the operations and management area at Fuqua. My research focuses on supply chain management and operations strategy. I develop analytical models to capture supply chain dynamics and prescribe optimal solutions such as inventory positioning in the supply chain to mitigate the supply and the demand disruptions, or data-driven joint inventory pricing and bundling decisions for online businesses. Every Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, the Fuqua faculty are coming to you live on LinkedIn to share researches. And today I will be discussing some insights from my recent forward-looking research on how 3D printing will impact the future of spare parts supply chains. Because our topic today is about supply chain digitization, and we have all experienced the benefit from various digital transformation of supply chains, especially in the recent pandemic. Online shopping is an example. Instead of physically going to the store, feeling and touching the physical products, and then purchasing them and carrying it home, we can now access the online platform and view the products digitally and read about it and purchasing by a click, and then waiting to buy the products. For the product to be delivered to our home. From the supply chain point of view, this virtual shopping format removes inventory from local stores and centralizes the inventory in a distribution center. By doing so, the total supply chain inventory is significantly reduced because of a risk pooling effect. For the same reason, online retailers can afford offering a much wider product selection than a physical store. The benefit of supply chain digitization is even more pronounced if the product itself can be digitized, as in the case of media products like newspapers, books, and music and movies. Instead of holding physical product inventory in a centralized store and transporting the physical product to customers, we only need to store the digital content, that is digital inventory, on the cloud and distribute the digital files to the end users. In these examples, even the consumption of the product need not to have the physical presence. We can read the newspapers online and watch movies via stream. Even if we need a physical document, we can just print it using our desktop printer. This digitization process completely removes the supply chain inventory until the point of use. This drastically reduces supply chain cost and the carbon emission, benefiting the economy, the consumers, and the environment. The world would be perfect if every product could be distributed this way, using only digital inventory. 3D printing or additive manufacturing offers a glimmers of hope for this dream. And this is already happening in certain industries, such as hearing aids, dental braces, or surgical models, and some parts in aviation and defense. 3D printing uses computer-aided design tools to design the product digitally and convert the 3D digital models into a digital STL file, and then that is then instruct the printer to print layer by layer. And so it works similar to 2D printer that we're all familiar with. But instead of printing just one layer in the 2D case, the 3D printer prints one layer on top of another layer, each layer with the different details until the object is complete. So the technology is essentially digital, allowing digitization of most of the supply chain until the point of use. 3D printing is highly flexible, does not need a huge setup when switching from printing one product to another. All you need is to use a different digital file and get the relevant materials ready. Therefore, 3D printing is ideal for customized products, especially those of complex shapes and for product families with a huge variety. Additionally, 3D printers are mobile and much smaller than traditional manufacturing equipment. This enables many local printing facilities, allowing third-party 3D printing services, similar to Kinko's or equivalents in the 2D printing business. We have also started to see various kinds of desktop 3D printers similar to what we experience with our 2D printing technology. So with the technology rapid advancing, companies in all industries are paying attention to the potential applications of 3D printing to their businesses. And it's in this context that I was approached by several companies to help looking at the opportunity to reduce their spare parts inventory. So why spare parts is important? Okay, so we have all experienced some sort of the spare parts inventory problem. For example, on a hot summer day, your home conditioner may suddenly stop working. After the repairman's inspection, it's determined that the part is broken and needs to be replaced. However, the company does not have the part in their storage room in your region. So they have to order it from the supplier or transship it from another storage location, which may take 2 to 3 days, during which you have to suffer the summer heat without air conditioning. As another example, at your office, the elevator or the copier nearest you may be down for a few days, or just because of the service company does not have the right part in stock to replace the one that is broken. Finally, perhaps the most annoying, you have already been stuck sitting on a plane for 2 hours and are told that another hour is expected because a part for an engine or even a lamp cover for the reading light is still on its way stuck in traffic. So why is it so common to experience part shortages? To put this into perspective, considering that commercial aircraft has more than 1 million parts, and a commercial train has hundreds of thousands of parts. So it's impossible for a company to hold inventory of all these items in every service region. In addition, many of these parts have very low demand rate. In other words, they rarely break down. So it's likely a part kept in inventory for a year or two without use eventually becomes obsolete and needs to be disposed. Typically, manufacturing firms maintain portfolios of spare parts amounting to tens of thousands of stock keeping units and worth tens of millions of dollars. In 2019, the global spare parts market for just metal component was over $500 billion. So for many businesses, the spare parts make up a double-digit percentage of our revenue. 3D printing offers a potential solution for this challenge. Instead of stocking the part, the company can invest in 3D printing in a service region and print the part on demand. Because of the flexibility of 3D printer, it can print a variety of parts on demand. The question is, should all spare parts be printed on demand then? That would be just like printing a document in our earlier example, which would be ideal. But the fact that we can print any document on demand rests on the very short printing time with the advanced 2D laser printers. If a part can be printed in minutes, sure, we should definitely go with all on-demand printing. Unfortunately, 3D printing technology has not progressed to that level yet. Some parts requires hours to print, some others days. Therefore, there is a trade-off between stock or print. Suppose you stock the part, then when the demand occurs, the demand can be satisfied immediately from shelf. In the case of your broken air conditioner, the only machine downtime would be the time to transport the part from the storage room to your home plus the installation time. This may take only 1 day, depending on the serviceman's schedule. This is a good service, but at the expense of the stocking cost of the company, including the cost of capital and the storage place. Suppose on the opposite side, the company does not hold the inventory for that part, and only print the part on demand. So there is no inventory cost. In this case, if the printing time is within hours in time for the serviceman's next trip to install the part to your air conditioner, the downtime would be the same for you as in the situation of keeping the parts in stock. In this situation, the company would prefer print over stock. However, if the printing time is more than a day, the downtime would be more than a day. While the company saves the inventory cost, the customer service is deteriorated, tempering the brand's image. Therefore, the printing time is a key determinant. Our research shows that both printing time and printing utilization are major factors. Imagine that when the serviceman submits the order of your part to the printer already has several orders in the queue before yours. Then the wait time of your part is not just the printing time, but also the queue time at the printer. So when a company makes such a stock or print decisions, it's important to weigh the inventory cost and the overall waiting cost. These costs are entangled with the printer utilization and job scheduling priority. This requires analyzing the parts of profiles and the part portfolio. Our model takes all these factors into account and prescribes the optimal partition of the parts. So which parts should be stocked, procuring from suppliers using the traditional manufacturing technology, and which parts should be printed to demand, on demand using the local printer. So our research shows that optimal printing utilization is quite low in order to ensure timely delivery. The utilization is no more than 30% on average, and on average is less than 3%. However, even with the low utilization, with the flexibility of the printing on demand option, on average, the firm can save 5% of cost with a maximum savings over 40%. Multiply this number by the typical tens of millions, the annual spare parts inventory cost, we can see considerable cost savings. And a follow-up paper studies how to reap the benefit of 3D printing in the world of Internet of Things. Imagine the maintenance of all elevators and or copy machines on the Duke campus with some parts supplied by a local 3D printer. Similarly, imagine having a local printer at an airport serving some parts on the aircrafts. Suppose these parts are on the machines are embedded with the sensors which are interconnected with a central controller. So the controller can see the parts' operating conditions in real time. When a part is near the end of its life, the controller can direct the printer to print a part in advance and replace the part before it breaks down. Our model prescribes exactly when the trigger, such a trigger to print to minimize the system cost. We show that it's optimal to print to stock, actually to stock, print to stock based on advanced demand information. Well, I think this is just shows because the latest start, I only have this one example for my research. In general, I developed tools for break-even analysis of deciding what part you should stock, which part you use print on demand. And I also developed models to design IP license agreement so that instead of selling physical parts, the OEM can license the design of the parts, so to digitize the supply chain. I guess I should be open for questions. And to summarize, my research has shown that the great promise 3D printing has for digitizing spare parts supply chain. How fast this change can happen critically depends on the printing speed and the cost. Even when the technology has advanced to a certain very high level, we will still see hybrid supply chain landscape. That is, not all parts will be print on demand. Just as what we see, not all physical stores and the physical copies of books, CDs, and newspapers are gone. Thank you. I'm open for questions. Okay. No more questions, so maybe I should just wrap up. Thank you for joining us today. Next week's speaker is Professor Christine Mormon. She will share findings from a CMO survey, including digital, social, and political trends. Please follow Fuqua LinkedIn to be alert on these and other events. Thank you.